Hello, my scrumptious ravens. Welcome to week 4 of the Fixing My Life series, year 2. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Raven, and about a year and a half ago, I started this series on my channel called Fixing My Life, and it was inspired by a very, very low point in my life where I had just lost the energy to get out of bed, to enjoy life. Every day would be such a struggle, guys, to get out of bed. Every day would just seem like it was repeating. I was just going through the motions, basically, and I was filled with so much like anger and disappointment and just unhappiness. And it got to a point where I thought to myself, is this how my life is going to be forever? No, I don't want this to be my life forever. And I kind of just made the decision to try and fix my life the best way that I could. And without overwhelming myself, I made a short list of about 10 to 12 things that I thought were absolutely important and integral for me to start implementing in my life. Things like tracking my water intake, tracking my diet, tracking how many prayers I was doing. At that time, I really wanted to be able to do a certain amount of push-ups. So I was tracking my push-ups strength every day, basically consistency. And the goal was that by keeping track of all of these things, I would hopefully develop some good habits and drop some bad habits along the way. So I finished year 1. I had made changes by the end of year 1. And I thought to myself, perfect. I've already made these changes. I'm set in my ways. I don't need this series anymore. But then what I ended up observing was that all of these habits that I worked so hard to build, or so I thought were habits, I was slacking. And I realized that I think I need that continued accountability. And that is where year 2 comes in, except this time the main difference is instead of recording videos every day and footage every day and releasing a video every day or every other day, I'm now doing it on a weekly basis. So for this video, we are going to be covering week 4, which covers January 31st to February 6th. And without further ado, let's dive into the tracker for the week. So we started off with Monday being very strong with prayers. Notice the black is something new that I'm trying out. I know it seems a little jarring, but sometimes I forget whether I forgot to track something or it's actually a no. And I felt like maybe putting black for no would be more helpful, but we'll see how it looks. Woke up at a decent time. This whole week, again, there was no exercising. So you will see that the exercise column is blacked out for this whole week once again. I stayed within my budget. Didn't do too well for dinner. I literally had wafers and salad the whole day. And it was a big salad, which was quite yummy, but still definitely not enough nutrients and not enough food for the day. Water was okay. Did sleep quite late. Next up, we have Tuesday, which is, I got my period Monday night, I want to say, or Tuesday morning. Yeah, Tuesday morning I got my period. So there was no formal prayers. So just again, a note about this. Whenever I say I'm on my period and there's no prayers, there's 2 kinds of prayers, right? There's one kind of prayers, which happens at any point during the day. Anytime, you can just ask God for help or for, ask him for a betterment of your life or whatever. That's a separate prayer that you can just do anytime. And then there's the required mandatory prayer, which is a sequence of, actions that you do. That is what people who experience their periods are exempt for during that time, and you're of course highly encouraged to make up the prayers. So you'll notice that for this whole week there's no prayers knocked into the tracker. As you can see, this is the second day in a row where I woke up late, but I also had slept late. And as you can see, I slept late on this day too. The week was not great for my sleep pattern. The cool thing about this day though is I finished the last keychain, and it sucks because I didn't take a picture of it, but the last keychain was a keychain that I thought was not going in the appropriate direction. Oh my god, guys, I thought it was gonna look so terrible because it looked so plain compared to the others. And it's such a good feeling when you can kind of experiment with different colors and different materials, and it ends up turning out beautiful, if I do say so myself. I love the keychain that I ended up creating. So, and that was actually X's keychain. That was the last keychain that was created. For a schedule, this was a very productive thing that I did. I wrote out the tasks that needed to be completed for the day after, and I also recorded a review video for the frying pan that I really encourage people to buy. Have not posted that video yet. It's a lot of editing that needs to go into it because I'm still trying to like organize what I want included in that frying pan review video. But I did record some footage for that on that day. And again, wafers, those wafers from Superstore were such trouble. I ate them 2 days in a row with some biryani. And this was the day when I woke up and I was feeling so good about myself, and I was really practicing some self-love. You know, I spent a lot of my life not liking my hair and being so rough on myself about my hair, and it took me a very long time to really appreciate and love my hair and really value it, because you know, it just as easily you can get sick and lose all your hair, and then what? You were complaining all this time for what? So I really try my best not to complain about my hair anymore, and I try to practice as much self-love as I can, especially for my hair. I definitely go through those waves for my body and where I'm not so happy with my body, but I definitely am conscious of it, and that helps me keep that disappointment with myself in check without it going too overboard, you know? And I also made my Ravens Real Talk announcement on this day, announcing that Ravens Real Talk is coming back. For those of you who don't know, Ravens Real Talk is a talk show that I created on my channel, on my Twitch channel, where every other Monday we talk about topics that are very important to discuss, things that I think are very important to discuss. Things like, you know, we've talked about mental health, we've talked about domestic violence, we've talked about infidelity, we've talked about infertility, we've talked about self-improvement, we've talked about all kinds of things. And the topic coming up for February 24th at 6:30 p.m. EST is forgiveness. Very important topic, in my opinion. And now we're moving on to Wednesday. So for Wednesday, I actually ended up taking the sick day because the vaccine started really messing with me. I was feeling all kinds of fatigue, and I had my period, and I was in so much pain from that. My shoulder was hurting, my neck was hurting. I pretty much felt that shoulder and neck pain this whole week. It was quite tough to just even sit on the computer for a little period of time or work, and then just the pain would be shooting down. And it was this weird kind of pain because it would be shooting down my forearm too. It was very strange. One thing that I did do that day is there is a memo board that I wanted to mount up for the longest time. And for those of you who are familiar with the way a lot of the apartments in Toronto are created, the living room could span for, you know, an L shape, and the light will only be in one portion of the L shape, leaving the rest quite dark. And so I bought these vanity lights that I wanted to mount onto the memo board to have a good workstation for my art. And so I started working on that on Wednesday. I just didn't like the way that the board looked, so I started adding some gold and pink glitter on it. I also did some research for a printer because I was really interested in trying to get a printer for my art and for a couple of projects that I'm working on right now. So I did that research. And also my Razer keyboard, I tried to save it because as you guys know, it got some damage on it. That's all I'm gonna say. So I did some troubleshooting with Razor's help, and was able to get some of that done. And also I slept quite late that day, unfortunately, as well. And this brings us to Thursday. So Thursday, I did not actually want to go to work because I was still feeling quite, unwell. But I ended up waking up at 8:25, grabbing my laptop, signing in. And the reason there's an asterisk there is that I worked from the bed for a large portion of my work day. So although I got out of bed and I was awake, I washed up, I did all that, but I was working in bed. I just needed to be warm. I just needed to feel, I was just feeling awful, guys. It was really, really awful. And then Thursday, I was able to give a deposit of $50 for the printer that I found on Facebook Marketplace. And I also did my nails. As you can see, did not do the other set, but I did do one side, and it felt nice taking care of myself. And then that night, I ended up getting a shawarma wrap. And as you can see, I definitely stayed up. We stayed up till 2 a.m. just relaxing. And again, that is when the neck and shoulder pain was still very prevalent. That brings us to Friday, which is the last work day of the week. I woke up a little late, stayed within the budget, which was good. I did not buy any extra Uber Eats food, but don't worry, I don't have much to be proud of because for the next couple of days I did pretty bad. I ended up buying, wait, did I buy ice cream that day? I bought ice cream on the 4th. So whatever day that was, the 4th was Friday. Well, ignore this. I did not stay within my budget. I actually did buy 2 little tubs of ice cream, and that's why there's ice cream there as part of my diet. I don't remember what time we slept. The highlight of the day for Friday is that we really wanted to make donuts. Okay, really wanted to make donuts. And so what we ended up doing is making the dough for the donut, and it was an absolute disaster, but it was turned around splendidly. It was turned around so well, and it looked really professional. And then the next day we ended up actually making the donuts because they said that the donuts had to be, the dough had to rise overnight. So, slept in, had another set of 2 ice creams delivered and some Krispy Kreme. And, we had some keftan rice leftovers from the nights before. Water was not so great. Sleep, I don't even remember when I slept. But the donuts failed. They were so doughy. They were burning on the outside, but inside they just were not being cooked. And I really don't know how we could have fixed that. So that was really disappointing. And that's why the Krispy Kreme was ordered as like consolation for the failed donuts. It really actually did, break my heart because I didn't want to waste that, but it just wasn't edible. It just was not edible. And then Sunday, ended up going out to ship out the keyboard. Razer ended up saying that, your keyboard is deemed defective. So go ahead and send it to us and we'll see what we can do. So I shipped out the keyboard to Razer and had an amazing breakfast: eggs, bacon, and tea, chicken bacon, halal chicken bacon. Then for lunch, had some leftover kefta rice and wedges, and then some ice cream at night, and slept very late as well, and paid a visit to Dollar Tree and Dollarama, buying some stuff for the house, like sandwich bags and tissue paper, so that I can actually finally, wrap up the loot box items that I need to ship out. So that brings this week's recap to a close. But before I close this video, I do want to say one thing that I experienced this beginning of this week, I feel, there was a situation that I was in which, how do I say this? So there was a situation, not exactly the beginning of this week, but it was like a little before, where I was involved in a friendship with someone, and I realized that it was draining my mental health, and it was not good for my mental health. And it was one of those opportunities that I was able to draw clear boundaries for myself without it being a rude situation. Too often, I think that we feel that the only way to draw boundaries or end a friendship or distance from someone, it's often related to a lot of hard feelings against someone, or a lot of negativity towards someone, a lot of grudges towards someone, and there's always some kind of fallout. But sometimes it's literally you doing what is best for yourself. And I'm so proud of myself for putting myself first, which I have not done for a lot of my life, and recognizing when it is time to step away from a friendship. And so if there's anyone watching who is in a situation with a friend or a lover or a partner or whoever that it is that is draining you, and you're realizing that it's actually giving you anxiety when you open up this person's messages or you see them or whatever the case is, definitely take that step to distance yourself from them and very kindly explain to them, like, listen, this is not good for my mental health and I need to look out for myself. And a true friend, a true, person who's on your side will understand. And if they don't understand, that means they have a lot more healing to do, and you are in no way responsible for their healing. They got to do that for themselves. They got to put in the work themselves. So please don't let people in your life guilt trip you into staying and being their crutch and being their excuse for not improving themselves. Because if we allow people to treat us any which way that they want, they're not going to learn, they're not going to grow. And I'm not saying it's our responsibility to make them grow, but it's our responsibility to look out for ourselves. And if they're draining us and they're not good for us, then we need to make that decision for ourselves. No one's going to make that decision for you and say, listen, I think I'm bad for you, I think you should distance yourself from me. I think very few people have that self-awareness to actually say that to somebody. So we need to have that for ourselves. So I just wanted to say that really quickly, because I do believe that boundaries are very important, and making decisions for the betterment of your mental health is very important as well. And with that, as always, I am wishing your heart and your mind and your soul and your spirit and your body peace and happiness and goodness and good health. Please choose to be kind to yourself and to others. And this is one way of being kind to yourself, by drawing those boundaries, by distancing yourself from people who do not treat you as well as you would like to be treated, who treat you poorly, who make you feel poorly about yourself, and who drain you. Anytime someone is draining you, that is usually not a good sign for someone who you should keep in your life or have in your life. You've worked too hard to try to balance yourself and wake up every morning and find the courage and the strength to get out of bed. You cannot have people dragging you down. So do whatever is good for you, and the right people will not guilt you for it. They will understand. Take care of yourselves. Good night, and Raven out. Bye, guys.